I've got a lot of army stuff to do, but I'll hold off on it until next stage for the upcoming grand battle. I'll just be dealing with 3rd Corps for today, so all of my major modifications went there. Here's a brief look at 3rd Corps' current setup. First, I swapped out any infantry I didn't want to use for this fight, including anyone led by a general. Then, once I had the brigades I wanted, I refilled everyone to the levels you see on the screen now. And as for filling, I've also maxed out the 2nd supply wagon in 3rd Corps. I also swapped around a number of officers between corps. This next stage allows 15 brigades, and as of right now, exactly 15 brigades of 3rd Corps have an officer of lieutenant colonel or lower in charge. It's going to be one of those stages. Even with this many troops having been sent to oppose you after Fredericksburg, the total Union Army is still only this. Keep that in mind in your own game, whatever difficulty you choose to play on. A federal force is in expedition near Everettsville. Our intelligence reports that they're aiming to destroy the strategically significant Wilmington and Weldon Railroad Bridge. If they succeed, they'll put an end to our vital supply chain from the port of Wilmington. We must attack them and prevent their plans. General, we are moving to intercept the Union Expeditionary Force that heads to destroy our railroad bridge. It seems they have spotted us because they have prepared defenses on this road junction. We must attack them and drive them off our lands. Another one of those stages that is simple, but where simple doesn't mean easy or cheap. The stage is, like, 90% forest, so trying to trap our target out in the open is a waste of time. Just make sure you don't get caught out in the few open areas yourself during firefights. The Union defense is 4 positions here, and they have a fairly good bonus going for them. Along with those brigades, the Union have about another half-dozen infantry, a couple skirmishers, a few cavalry, and 4 cannon batteries that can be floating around anywhere in this area, although a half-dozen are probably going to be close enough to the top right of the defenses to provide support. The game clock starts at 0500, and the battle timer is 3 hours. However, that timer is more of a suggestion. The stage doesn't hard end until you get all the way to 1400. Or, in other words, you have 9 game hours to play with. So whatever maneuvers you want to do this stage, you've got time for them. That time, however, is the good news. Here is the bad. These 3 vision points. You can take this one easy enough, and this one you'll have to fight the Union for, but you can avoid their defensive line while doing so. But I don't recommend that because both of these points kinda suck. The one the Union has here, however, most certainly does not suck. This doesn't mean that everything you have will be insta-spotted, mind you. Your units still have stealth ratings, and in the trees, your units, specifically your infantry, can get more to around this area before the vision catches you. But this huge view range does mean that the most obvious plan of using your 9 hours, bring a ton of cannons, bomb them for 7 hours, then move a few infantry in on cleanup duty, won't likely work. The Union's cannons will be able to see you far better than you will be able to get any eyes on them. And so, I'm going to draw my plan on the screen now. Ready? Anyone who watched last video is probably thinking to themselves, wait a minute, charging into a heavy fortification? Isn't that what Burnside did, resulting in me ridiculing him and wiping out his army? But the difference between solid and stupid strategic reasoning isn't the how, it's the why. There are 3 things different with my approach than Burnside's attack at Fredericksburg. 1. I'm not attacking the entire fortification. I'm focusing the entire assault at a single protruding point. 2. I'm not going across open fields and swamps. The only non-covered part of this approach is right here, and I'll be spending very little time in that gap. 3. I'm not engaging in a protracted firefight. I'm going to take my force and ram it all down the Union's throat at once, just like I did at the river of Malvern Hill. The plan is to have my dozen infantry and close support cannons move in unison all the way from their starting position to a point behind the enemy lines. This does mean that, right around here, my entire force is going to be stamina depleted and start moving very slowly. But as that will be after they reach the defensive line, this is acceptable. Slow maneuvering isn't a huge problem when you have heavy cover and a bunch of other brigades preventing a flanking counterattack. Speaking of moving slowly, any enemy cannons encountered in about this area are extremely susceptible to this attack. Cannons in woods aren't speedy at the best of times, and they're going to be getting run down by a rather huge force. With no good direction to get away, there is a good chance that any enemy battery we get within firing range is going to be eliminated immediately. And now for a bit more good news. The defensive positions are not Union only. Once we've chased their forces off the walls, we can take them for our own use. So, the rest of the plan is as follows. Once past the front wall, we'll start splitting some of our units off to keep ourselves covered. One unit will take this position, another will take this one, the close support cannons will line up just behind them, a third infantry will back them up just in case, about 3 units will turn this way to keep anyone who ran north off our backs, and the other half dozen infantry will continue their, now very slow march towards the 4th defensive point. Once they reach it and chase off the defender, who may very well have run out of friends by this point, 1 unit will occupy it, and the other 5 will spread out in the nearby woods as covering forces. Then, once that has been accomplished, they'll get a chance to rest up. Don't bother occupying the northernmost defensive point with a mainline unit. Any Union force that manages to fire at it is going to do so from this side, which means they will be getting rear flanking shots. Instead, have the infantry up here stay just in the woods until their position is secured, then press whichever Union troops ended up fleeing to this side of the map into the top left corner for elimination. If you really want to put something in here, split off a skirmish team to do it. After all that, the rest of the stage is mostly cleanup. Once the left side infantry are rested, have them move south to engage what is left of the Union over there with an eye towards trapping them in the bottom left, while your cannons on the right finish off most of that side's forces in preparation for just a couple infantry units to then finish the job. Simple, but still, this is a charge into an enemy fortification, so there's definitely going to be some casualties. Hence why everyone is a scrub led by a low-tier officer. Let's get to it. Just a little bit of general bait here. I haven't gotten to use that tactic for a while, you know. Even with poorly trained troops, older weapons, and mediocre officers, this is a good example of what 24,000 men firing at someone halfway in the open is capable of accomplishing. I'll give a hold fire here just so that the massive volley gets loosed when I'm much closer to the enemy bulwark. At this point, the Union actually had a good shot at my cannon line with a cavalry and several infantry units, but the cavalry was too scared to pass the infantry swarm, and probably with good reason. All I had to do was turn around 2 units and it would have been ultra sandwiched, and the infantry below the cannons didn't want to approach a bunch of guns that are intentionally oversized and custom designed to be fired at canister range into aggressing units, especially out in the open. They probably should have sprinted to the right, then up, then hit my guns from the right side. But they aren't going to get the chance, because in addition to spreading my own infantry out, I'm going to give each cannon in order to rejoin the main force right after it fires its upcoming volley. Still, in this second right here, my cannons were a bit too exposed. I imagine if the Union force was larger, they would have pressed in, but the constant losses they've suffered over the campaign so far caused them to miss their chance. My right side infantry got broken off the defensive line. I forgot to leave that one backup infantry over there, didn't I? Defensive fortifications are funny things. Even beyond the whole cover, defense, and fire rate interactions, they also tend to have weird facings, resulting in the people manning them taking flanking shots even when they are being assaulted from the front. If you find yourself suffering from this situation, the best way to handle it, provided it's available, is to have the beleaguered unit leave the defensive spot and just stand normally in a good cover location instead while waiting for their morale to recover. With the big maneuvering currently done, and my troops just exchanging fire and recovering stamina, I'll drop into fast forward for a bit. You know, I'm intentionally dragging out the top left corners surround and elimination. I could bring more units, but I'd rather have the rest for the next step and let these 3 brigades get some fire training in. But it occurs to me, the 3-star General Johnston, who is the guy with the skill perk for faster training, is currently in command of 1st Corps. I really should have put him leading 3rd Corps for this battle. The left side infantry have finished resting. Back to normal speed while I get them moving to the next fight. Well, there's my surrender for the stage. Just need to get him to the map's right edge to flee the field. The upper left units have all been shattered. I'll start moving these 3 infantry back to the other spots. They're highly exhausted, so what I'll do is move them to the defensive areas, and when they get close, I'll have the brigades currently manning the walls hop out, so these guys can hop in. The current wall defenders should have near full stamina meters, making them much more useful for the final assaults. This is actually a pretty interesting maneuver the Union are pulling. A shame for them I have a large team able to sandwich their small flanking squad. Frazzin 11 herbs and spices using. Alright, the surrendered unit was apparently caught by the last Union cavalry. Guess I have to deal with them a second time. That said, I think the Union maneuvers are all done now, so I'll save us all some time and drop back into fast forward. Another essentially total loss for the Union, with my side losing 4,500 out of 25. I played this stage a few times, and this was far from my best result, but it was the one that was most easily repeatable, which is important for a strategy guide. Sorting by losses, and several of my brigades took significant damage. This isn't totally a bad thing though. Any group that got brought down, but also earned their second star during this fight, is a prime candidate for sniper infantry, since I like to keep their size a bit smaller for mobility reasons. A slew of promotions, 2 injuries, no deaths. Given how this fight plays out, that's about as good as can be hoped for. A standard assortment of captured goods. You'll notice I didn't capture any 1842 Springfields, however. The Union are apparently taking strides towards improving their overall gear. Put the point in medicine.
Yes, sir.
3 brigades of 3rd Corps got a 2nd star, and while the 1680-man team is a bit large for my tastes, they should all make good sniper specialists, provided I have the guns for it. But I'll worry about checking that in the prelude to next stage, the Grand Battle of Stones River. Be back then.